Okay, so kind of skipping around a little bit. Gonna look at another little Friar Lawrence moment. I'm on page 14 now, in the middle of the. Ooh, there's a giant bug on my Shakespeare play. That's kind of cool. Let's see if we can get a little. Ooh, look at him. He's crawling around on this Shakespeare play. He's a crazy bug. Um, so okay, so the to look at Friar Lawrence a little bit more, I want to go to page 19. This is the scene where he kind of agrees to marry Romeo and Juliet. They come to him to be married, and he gives a very brief little speech kind of at their wedding, and it's really nice. He's trying to be helpful. Friar Lawrence. He sees that the Capulets and the Montagues have been at war with each other. And by the way, I assume you guys saw the movie, but the war, it's violent. I mean, these two families have been trying to kill each other. They're the children of one father are out there trying to kill the children of the other. They got their friends involved. Everybody's picking sides, and it's causing a lot of problems in the city. Um, the city where they live is the violence of these. It's like a gang war, so that the citizens are getting caught in the crossfire of these young men who are fighting. One of the details I love about the play is Shakespeare never says why they're fighting, because probably they don't even know anymore. They've just hated each other for these many years, and they don't really think about it. They fucking hate each other, and they just want to fight all the time. And so Shakespeare is he doesn't because it's not important really. But I just like that Shakespeare doesn't even attempt to explain why the Montagues and the Capulets hate each other. It's irrational. Even if there was a reason 100 years ago, what the hell difference does it make now? Stop your children from killing each other into the street, you fucking dum dums. But they can't stop. So as Romeo says, there's much to do with love, but more with hate. Um, or more pain. I don't remember the line. Anyway, so let's take a look at the scene where Friar, short little scene, the end of Act 2, where Friar Lawrence marries these two. Um, so smile the heavens upon this holy act, that after hours with sorrow chide us not. He hopes that that the heavens bless this marriage, because Friar Lawrence is trying to fix the violence between these two families. If the son from one family marries the daughter from the other family, then maybe the families will have to get along. So he thinks if he secretly marries them, the families are going to have to, because they really, the culture really honored. It wasn't like they can get a divorce, right? I mean, the kids getting married in the sight of God, even without all the witnesses and the families there. It's not like the families can just undo it. And so Friar Lawrence really thinks the love that these two teenagers have for each other could heal the violence between the two families. I really love that about him, because it seems crazy that he's just going to marry these two kids in secret. But he's really trying to do a bigger thing, which is to set right the strife between these two families. So when Romeo says a nice little thing, Amen. But come what sorrow can, it cannot countervail the exchange of joy this one short minute gives me in her sight. Meaning, even if bad things come, it's worth it to get married to Juliet today. Do thou but close our hands with holy words, then love-devouring death do what he dare. It is enough that I call her mine. So Romeo says, even if I'm going to get, because these kids are in a hurry, and Romeo says, even if I get killed, it's totally worth it, because I get to be with Juliet, she'll be officially my wife, and even if our families kill us, it's worth it. And Friar Lawrence says he has wisdom. Romeo at one point calls him my ghostly father, which he means father like priest, and ghostly there meaning spiritual. But I really like the phrase my ghostly father, meaning my spirit. Friar Lawrence is Romeo's spiritual advisor. And Friar Lawrence gives him a little. In the movie, they put this like at the actual wedding. He gives this speech. These violent delights have violent ends, right? Meaning the really intense love that you have may end terribly when your families find out. These violent delights have violent ends, and in their triumph die like fire and powder, which as they kiss, consume. He says that when fire touches powder, there means gunpowder. When fire touches gunpowder, they both explode and are both destroyed. That and he says as they kiss, as they touch, as they kiss, they consume. So Friar Lawrence is a little worried about this, that marrying these two, he wants to heal the two families, but the question is maybe these two families, it's going to be like gunpowder and fire, and putting them together is going to cause everything to blow up. Um, And Friar Lawrence says, the sweetest honey is loathsome in his own deliciousness, and in the taste confounds the appetite. Meaning something can be too sweet. You can get too much of something. Therefore, love moderately. Long love doth so. Too swift arrives as tardy as too slow. Too swift arrives too tardy as too slow. Did I say that right? I think I may have gotten that wrong. Too swift arrives as tardy as too slow. It's a line that means that it's, going too fast is actually the same thing as going too slow, because both things don't get where they're supposed to get to on time. Friar Lawrence says, love moderately. Now, one of the things, the reason he says that is because Romeo and Juliet do not love moderately. They love intensely. They are deeply, passionately, kind of insanely in love with each other. And this raises, I think, one of the most interesting details in Shakespeare. This kind of a big philosophical thing to think about. A lot of my students find Romeo and Juliet, the characters, to be completely fucking ridiculous. Because if they would just slow down, if they would just, they don't have to be in such a hurry. They don't have to be so intense. You don't have to fake your own death. They go so fast and so intensely that my students are like, it's ridiculous. They're stupid teenagers who are rushing around in a hurry. And Friar Lawrence sees that, and he tries to sort of slow them down. He says, listen, your intense love is great, but, if something is too intense, it's actually bad. Like if honey is too sweet, it's actually kind of disgusting. That you need to love more moderately, more slowly, less intensely. It's perfectly good advice he gives them here. What's paradoxical about it is that Romeo and Juliet love so intensely, it gets them killed. Both of them are dead, and so are some other people, including Mercutio, who's like the coolest character in the whole play. So they love so intensely that it gets them and other people killed. And so, like Friar Lawrence, you might wish that they had loved more moderately, more slowly. They didn't have to be so crazy. They didn't have to be so intense. Because they died. And if only they hadn't been so intense, they would have lived. But here's the tricky part. I think the reason people love Romeo and Juliet is because they love so intensely. Their intense love is what we admire about them. They're like saints of love. They're the most intense lovers that anyone's ever written about in a story. And here's the thing. You don't love them in spite of the fact that they died. You love them because they died. That's part of what makes their love so intense. In a twisted, fucked up way, you actually admire them. I feel this way. It's not just that, like, Friar Lawrence says, boy, you guys should love more moderately, but that misses the whole point. The Shakespeare audience might say, boy, I wish these two had loved more moderately, but that wouldn't have made an interesting play. And that wouldn't have made us care about them as much. What I love about them is that they love each other so intensely. And it results in their death, and and that's sad, but in a twisted, fucked up way, it almost makes it better. The fact that they loved each other so intensely and then died, still so deeply in love with each other. I mean, people go, oh, they're such crazy teenagers. Just slow down, calm down, stop being so crazy, love more moderately. Like, would you rather see a story about Romeo and Juliet just slowly getting together and then getting married and then living for 40 years and ending up hating? You see old people that just kind of hate each other, and you're like, how the fuck did you two get together in the first place? Like, is that what you want? You want to see Romeo and Juliet, like, live forever but end up hating each other? There's something kind of fantastic about, it's not just that, like, we love them but unfortunately they die. We know that one of the reasons we love them is because they die. They commit to something. Just like Coriolanus commits to being himself. They commit to their love so hard that it actually gets them both killed, and in a fucked up way we like that. Also, I want to say this. Just because they die in the play doesn't mean do you think that, so Shakespeare has them be very in love and then they die. Do you think Shakespeare's point is therefore do not love so intensely? I mean, I saw Black Panther and the villain died at the end of it. I still think the villain was kind of right. I feel like the Killmonger in Black Panther, he was correct and he died. I don't think it's like he died and therefore he was incorrect. He made some very good points before he died. Romeo and Juliet also make some very good points before they die. All right, pick you up in the next video.